So, as you can see by the title, today's topic is that everything is not for everybody. What do you mean by that, Gypsy? I'm about to tell you. But before I do that, you can go ahead and subscribe to this channel. If you see anything on this channel that you think will help you, follow me on Instagram at Gypsy Vibe so that we can continue our conversations over there where I'm more accessible to the public. Back to the topic. What do I mean when I say everything is not for everybody? We have a consensus in our culture here in the United States where the average person believes that their destiny in life is kind of already like mapped out for them, and if they follow this path then everything will be fine. They'll be very successful. And that's what we call like the white picket fence dream here, where it's like, go to school, get your high school diploma, go to college, get your degree, then you get a good job working for some company, and then build your credit so that you can afford to get a mortgage on a house and buy, some fancy car that you're making payments on. And then you get married to someone who has, is on that same path with you, and have children, and you raise them in your house with your white picket fence over your property, something like that. Okay, that's like the gist of it, right? However, the thing that we always seem to be leaving out is that there's not a lot of people in America that even achieve that dream. There are a lot of people struggling to try to achieve it, but there's not that many people that are just, following that path and just doing it. There's a faction of people, there's a group of people that are able to do this, but normally those people come from a certain socioeconomic background, which makes it a lot easier for them to follow these paths and become successful by following that path. Then there are people that follow that path, do all those things, but they're miserable and they don't know why. And the reason why is because everything is not for everybody. Everything is not necessarily it's not a cookie cutter system that works for every single person who applies it to themselves. Some people are business minded. They don't function that well in employee kinds of atmospheres where like they are the employee, because they think on such a business level that they're just meant to be in that role. So when you try to stuff a person like that into this role of being an employee for too long, it backfires on you. You can't get productivity out of those people because that's just not how they function. That's not their world. But you'll see people who are so intimidated by their own abilities that they will pursue that even if it's not really for them. So those people are miserable because they're trying to be something that they are not. And like, for example, there are people that, let's say, are like born here in the United States. They've never been outside their town, but they're so scared to like leave and explore other cities, other states, even other countries. But they're very at unrest where they're at. And the reason why that is because maybe you are not meant to have like stayed wherever you were born and raised. Maybe that's not the place for you. It's just a coincidence that you happen to be from there, but that's not your choice. Your parents just happened to be there when you were born, and they didn't leave. That was the right place for your parents. But you yourself, you may be destined to live a completely different lifestyle around a totally different group of people with different opportunities than what you have at your disposal there where you are right now. I think we get into these ruts where we're like so afraid to go try something different or new because we think that we're going to mess up or something will go wrong and then we won't be able to get ourselves out of it. And that does happen. It's not like it doesn't happen, but that just because it happens to other people doesn't mean it will happen to you. And if you have a backup plan before you just go jumping into something, well, then you'll probably be all right. I feel like some of the best things that came into my life came from me taking a chance on, and just I would just get tired of that restless feeling I would have and make up my mind to just go do something different, and I would just do it. For example, me coming out here to Washington, I didn't really think long about the decision to come out here. I had a discussion with my family that's here. I had a discussion with my family that I live with, and we talked about the pros and we talked about the cons, but the cons didn't outweigh the pros. So we took the chance. And in doing that, good opportunities did come out of us making that move. And I don't regret it, even though things didn't go exactly as planned. But those cons that we factored in, they weren't worse than the things that we got out of the move. If I didn't move out here, I would not have had the opportunity to spend as much time and have as much access as I do to my Korean side of my family, who, I mean, I don't love either side more, but I have more of a bond with my Korean side of the family because I grew up with them and because they're more like me, I guess. Like the way that they do things is similar to the way that I do things because I was raised to do things that way. So I just connect with them a little bit better. And my children who have never had access to their Korean culture now are able to access that easier being around multiple family members rather than just my mom. I would not have had that if I didn't take the chance and just move. This is what I do. When I go into a new situation, I always tell myself, everywhere I go, I'm there. So wherever I go, I'll be fine. Because I have faith in myself more than anyone else in the world. I know I can adjust. I know I can make myself assimilate to a situation so that I can learn how to survive. So because I've already done that many times in the past and I know that I'm able to do that anywhere I go, I don't really have a fear of trying out new things or doing something different than my usual routine. I'm talking about like life stuff. I'm not talking about like I'm going to drink coffee today at 4 p.m. instead of at 2 p.m. Challenges, not like that. I don't have those fears. I don't have a fear of letting people into my life, like making friends and like new people. People are scared of strangers. They don't want to talk to people they don't know. But all your friends were strangers before they became your friends. So how are you supposed to make new friends if you don't talk to new people? I don't have that hang up because I know that when I talk to new people, I broaden my world, and the more diverse my groups of friends are, the more access that I have to greater opportunities than I would have if I was just stuck inside my little, oh, I'm black and I gotta be friends with only people from the hood. Like, you're very limited in what you are able to access. In order to get exposure to things that may normally not be in your range of access, you have to broaden your mind and go do things that are different. This goes the same for like dating, especially with dating. I feel like people do so much worrying about who they're going to date. And instead of worrying so much, why don't you actually try dating someone? Why don't you do that? Like, I feel like you'll get a lot further. The more people you date, the more you learn about yourself, the more you realize, I'm not with this, I am with this. Oh, I have a preference for something I didn't even realize I had before. You know, you don't know how, you don't have a chance to really grow into who you are if you're just always stuck inside your own head and stuck in your own routines and you don't do anything different. Now, for people who are just comfortable there, so be it. Be comfortable where you're at and keep doing that. But I'm talking about you guys who are restless. You're doing this stuff and you think you're going to feel some type of peace, but instead it just makes you more and more anxious. And you're like, I'm missing something. Something's not right. If you feel like going to college is not right for you, don't go to college. Don't go because your parents are forcing you to go to college. You're going to regret it later on. Trust me, you're going to regret it later on and be in debt. So instead of doing that, focus your energy on something else. If you don't know what you want to do, go try new things. Go do something different so you can see. Maybe, like, I didn't know that I was good at crafting for my dolls until I tried it. I hadn't even tried it until I tried it. I always collected dolls, but I didn't know I could repaint faces. How are you supposed to know that unless you attempt it? So when I saw these things that people were doing, and I was like, oh, maybe I should try that. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'll experiment. I did that, and I built an entire YouTube channel around that skill that grew to what it is today. So being a household name in the Barbie collecting community for adults, how was I supposed to know that that was something that I could do unless I tried it? I might have failed. Maybe it wouldn't be for me. And as you guys know, I talk about this a lot. This is not my only YouTube channel or my first one. And even Broken Dolly TV, that's not my first YouTube channel. I've done other things on YouTube that was, along the range of my scope of interests. But Broken Dolly TV is probably the most I went out of my comfort zone. compared to the other stuff that I was doing that I was already like a natural at doing. For some reason, that channel grew the fastest and the biggest, and it still is growing now, even though I'm not really like actively doing stuff with that channel because it's on hiatus. It still has activity and it still has functionality, and it still has produced people who I interact with every single day. Even like since the time that I've put that channel on hiatus, to this day, I still talk to people who were as active on my channel as it was when I was active on this channel. You know, that should tell you something, right? So you don't know what's going to be your thing until you go out and try. And don't be scared to try and mess up. Just, in fact, anticipate that you probably will mess up, and that's okay. If you don't mess up, then you're not going to be able to know where you need to improve so you can do better. Everybody's not going to just do it right the first time. I used to have this fear that like people would learn that I wasn't good at everything that I present to be good at. That's like been one of my biggest hangups in my life. And it took me many therapy sessions with Adonis to figure out that it's not a fear that I need to have anymore, and to just let it go. It's not 100% gone yet, but I have been working on it, and I feel a lot better like exposing myself about that fear, because until I actually said it out loud, it was like I was like a slave to it. It was like entrapping me. Because my Asperger's gives me a natural ability for certain things that other people have to work really hard at being able to do. I feel guilty sometimes when like there are certain things that I'm supposed to just know how to do that other people find easy to do that I don't know how to do. Like admitting it out loud, or like telling people, well, I don't really know about that, or I don't know how to do that. That will make me feel like I'm not worthy almost of having the skills that I do possess. Like I'm not worthy of being acknowledged for those things, because it's just balancing out the fact that I don't know how to do other things that should just be a given for me. So I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but y'all are smart. Y'all figure out what I'm trying to say. But that's just how I'll be feeling sometimes. So like I have to really like talk myself down when I get into situations where I feel that part of me will get exposed, because I don't like it. I don't like the feelings that come with the anxiety of not knowing what's going on. Like when I went to my eye doctor, and they just kind of scared me out of the blue with, oh, you're here for a diabetic appointment. And I was like, no, I don't know that. Like my mind will just go blank because I don't know what I'm supposed to do next, This is a struggle for me, but of course, other people go through the same thing, and it took me some time to figure this out about myself, but I figured it out eventually. I used to run from the fact that I was a gypsy. I would run from the fact that I didn't have a hometown. I didn't have a place that I belonged. I didn't have a stable city to rep. Like I would feel very left out, I guess, because of that, and I wanted to chase this dream of like just being stable, like just being in one spot for a good 10-20 years, because I admired that about people who were able to do that. But in the pursuit of doing that, I realized, you know what, like I don't actually have a problem with moving around and exploring different places. The thing I have a problem with is not being able to plan it, or it's not in my control, because when my mother would just up and root us to the next place, it would just be out of nowhere. Like she would give us no warning whatsoever, and we didn't have time to find closure before we would move on. That was my actual issue. So it was more a psychological thing than just, oh, I don't want to move around. In actually moving around, trying to find a place to be stable at, I realized I like moving around. It's really not scary. It's not bad. My children like being in new places, learning new things, meeting new people. And along the way, if we do come across a place where we want to settle, we don't mind settling. We're not like running from being stable. It's just we're not closed-minded to doing something new if the opportunity arises. So even though we like it in the place that we chose to go and live, it's not stopping us from moving on to something better or different just for the experience. Life is so short. Like you only have, I don't know, 70 to 80 years maybe, average, if you have good health. In that time frame, people get to like their 50s and 60s after their kids are all grown and gone, and then they're like, what am I going to do next? Like they don't know what to do with themselves. And there's an entire world, an entire planet that you can explore an entire planet of people that you've never even been exposed to, languages you've never heard, foods you've never tasted, animals you've never seen, landscapes you've never even smelled, because you're just in your little bubble, in your little world. And there's no rule that says that you have to remain in that situation the rest of your life. But I don't think we're really taught that in society, because everyone's focused on making their particular community function. So it's to the benefit of your government and your school system to teach you guys to become the next set of employees to help the community function. So this basically is just a message to those of you who feel like you're an out-of-the-box thinker, you don't really belong here or there or wherever people want to try to fit you, and you have that unrest in your heart where you're like, you know what? I'm Chinese, but I want to see what it's like to go live in Jordan. I want to go see. Do it. Don't not go because people are telling you shouldn't do it. Just do it. Try it. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to die? Are you going to die? I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Are you going to be a bum on the street? I don't know. Think about that. What is the worst case scenario? Work that out. What is the likelihood that you're even going to be in that situation? Talk to people around you and try to find those resources that will tell you, I'll support you. I'll help you. You know, while you're over there, I'll send you a little bit of money to keep you afloat. Or you can come back to my house if it doesn't work out. You can come right back to my house until you get back on your feet. There are people in your vicinity that will support you and help you if they know what it is you're trying to do. That person for me, for many years, my Uncle Ben that died, like he was such an avid supporter of my adventures and my things that I wanted to try out. He was always encouraging me to go do that and find myself. And that really helps me a lot in my life. I hope that's the message that I'm able to articulate. I think I am, but I never really know for sure if what I'm thinking comes out the way that I want it to when I say the words out loud, because I get misunderstood a lot. But basically, that's the gist of what I'm trying to say. And I hope this video will help someone, inspire somebody to be able to stop procrastinating and looking for a sign and just trust your gut feeling and do it. Just try it and just do it. Girls, if there's a guy that's been sweating you trying to like go out with you, or if you kind of feel like he likes me, like stop being such a wuss. Just why don't you go talk to him? Go say something to him, because guys don't really know how to pick you up. They don't know how to like get your attention without coming off like they're trying to me to you. You know, it's a crazy world that we live in right now. It's very non-male friendly, I think. Instead of whining on Facebook all day about how hard it is to find a good guy, why don't you look around your circle of friends, the guys you already get along with, and or even a brand new dude that you don't know that well? What's the worst that's going to happen? You're not gonna die. Find a reason to go out with him. You don't have to be alone. I mean, take your friends and everybody go chill together, whatever. But like, stop being such a wuss and missing out on life when you could be experiencing what you're supposed to be experiencing if you would just stop feeding into your own doubt and fear. You feel me? So that's it for today. Again, my name's Gypsy. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram at Gypsy Vibe. And I will talk to you guys in the next installment here on Anxiety F. Peace, dookies.